All right, we are live. We are back with another episode of Small Business Saturdays podcast, and we are attorneys who get together. We try to get together once a month to talk about different legal issues, particularly legal issues that affect businesses, because we are business lawyers. And I'm attorney Justin Camper, located in Northwest Indiana. And I want to allow my distinguished guests to introduce themselves. We'll start with you, Attorney Whitley.
Hello, my name is Roman Esquire. No, my name is Attorney Jacoby Whitley. Bing bong. I practice out of DC. Do small business law, real estate law. I handle some immigration cases, slight stuff like visas. I'm doing a big removal situation, but yeah, jack of all trades. Do the best I can for my clients. Don't do family law. That's me.
Everybody can't do that. That's a lawyer. Yeah. But thanks a lot, Attorney Willie.
No.
Attorney, go ahead. Sorry, did I cut you off, Attorney Willie? Or
No.
Okay, Attorney Bonza. Please.
Good morning, my fellows. This is Attorney Bonza, broadcasting from DuPage County, Illinois, where I am based. So it's a good thing to be here again after a long break. So thank you.
All right. So, so we got a lot of different things going on. As I was planning this podcast, I was like, man, what are we going to talk about? I was trying to scour over the internet for some good news, and man, Lord behold, it just popped in my lap, the big old decision that came out yesterday. Roe versus Wade was overturned. So we're going to definitely talk about that. If we have time, we're going to talk about some other things as well. And I definitely want to try to leave you guys with some business advice. So if you're watching, please let us know who you are, where you're from. And then we definitely want to answer any questions. I said we're all attorneys. We'll try our best to answer questions, things like that. So first starting off is we're going to talk about Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade was overturned. If you gotta be asleep under a rock not to hear about it at this point. But basically, the whole purpose of Roe versus Wade, when it came to the Supreme Court over 50 years ago, was to show that abortion, you have a right to abortion as a constitutional right. And so 50 years later, the Supreme Court has overturned itself and said that no, abortion is not a constitutional right, and that it should be left up to the states. And so the whole premise in Roe at first was that I forgot I believe it's the 14th Amendment, where it said it's kind of broad, and basically they use that to say, well, it's a right to privacy. And because it's a right to privacy, people have a right to do abortion if they want, with reasonable restrictions. So now that this has been overturned, and they say that there is no right there's no constitutional right to an abortion, that it is left up to the states. That's where we are at this point. So, my first question to the panel here is America ruined?
Yes.
We all just pack our bags. We just pack our bags and go to Congo, where Attorney Mayabo is from, or is this something to be? I don't know. Is this how big is this issue, and how should people? I guess I just say, how big is this issue? Is this really going to ruin America as it is? We'll go to you, Attorney Williams.
Okay, so honestly, I don't think America is in ruins as of yet. But as explaining to this case, I think the issue on why you're questioning is America in ruin is because, and what people are concerned about is the fact that the progeny or the lineage of this case extends to different rights. And that's what we were just talking about. And the legal thing is the substantive rights. All right. It's this thing called, so everyone knows due process, right? Is the government can't deny you entitlement, whether that's a fundamental right or a government monetary entitlement, without procedures being followed, right?
Right, due process, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And the court found through the progeny of in the cases before Roe versus Wade and leading into and after it, they looked at substantive due process, and basically through substantive due process, they found fundamental rights that weren't necessarily enumerated in the Constitution, but were deeply rooted in U.S. history and tradition and viewed in light of evolving social norms.
Right. Can you talk about what it means to be enumerated in the Constitution? Can you break that? Right.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, the Bill of Rights. So the right isn't specifically spelled out,
right,
and highlighted in the Constitution,
right.
And that's why some people, as you led off with, when you say this constitutional right, that's a triggering statement for some people because they get up in arms and say, "Oh, that's not a constitutional right." Right? Because it isn't enumerated in the Constitution.
Correct.
That's what substantive due process does. It allowed that flexibility,
right,
that the founding fathers baked into the Constitution,
right,
to adjust for the new social norms and movements of the United States. Right.
Right.
So basically,
so there's no debate. I just want to make it clear. There's no debate that the right to abortion is not enumerated in the Constitution.
Yeah, there's no debate. That's fact.
That's just a fact.
That's just a fact.
Gotcha.
Right? And that's what some people are saying is that the legislature dropped the ball by not making an amendment to make it one of those things enumerated in the Constitution.
Okay.
But to just get into why people think America's unraveling,
right,
is that when you attack or overturn this case, you then open the door to overturn all cases founded upon a substantive due process right.
Gotcha.
Okay? And so now you're looking at, as Justice Clarence Thomas, everyone doesn't know who I'm talking about, but Justice Clarence Thomas in his concurrence lays all of them out. Like Justin was saying earlier, Attorney Camper, contraceptives, same-sex marriages. But what he was also in that is a Virginia case. I'm a Virginian. Is the Loving case, which set up interracial marriages.
Right.
And I like to say though, Clarence Thomas being in an interracial marriage did not put that case in his list of things that could be affected. Right. However, just because he didn't list it doesn't mean that a curtail of the substantive due process rights won't eventually get there. Right. And that's why there's this feeling, or there's views expressed, that America's unraveling, because now it begins to peel away at these substantive due process rights, which aren't enumerated in the Constitution, but are supposed to reflect the evolving social norms of the United States.
Right.
And
so also, I want to just chime in. I want to just chime into the audience. The question on the table is: does this decision ruin America? Okay, so is this going to divide, destroy America? So I want to know what your thoughts are in the comments. So put it in your comment. Do you think the Roe versus Wade decision being overturned, is that going to overturn America? So just go back to you. Follow back to you, Jacoby. Go ahead.
Indeed, but thanks for keeping me on point though. But yeah, so it's not. So that's the question, right? And I'm not saying, oh, if contraceptives and things like that weren't available. It's the fact that the social norm, right, was to give women the power to make this decision and to have funds available, whether they be federal funds, state funds, but federal funds to help make any procedure safer, even more accessible. So a woman making that choice, could make that choice and have options available to her and have safe options. Because before this, the options for abortion were not safe. And there's horrific stories. I'll begin with the coat hanger and I'll end there. Because it just
right. But we're not there yet. I mean,
right. But that's
society is evolved. Right. I mean, you could take a pill now. It's not, you know what I'm saying? We're not at that stage right now, right? You can have plenty of safe abortions. That's not.
But that's what going back to the states kind of opens up. And that's what, again, going back to why some people feel as though it's rolling downhill. And that snowball is building momentum, right? Because.
But I'm just saying, you can't say that anymore because now there are plenty of ways to have safe abortions, right? So even if your state
has banned it, you can't get it in your state.
Right, but you can go to another state.
But how burdensome is that?
I don't know.
Everybody can afford that.
But I'm just saying, the truth is that you can have safe abortions. That's not to be disputed, right? At this point in this stage, people can have safe abortion, regardless of whether it's a constitutional right or not. You can have a safe abortion, right? And would you not agree with that?
Not wholeheartedly, no.
Why? What part of that you disagree with?
One, I'm limited. I'm not a woman, so I'm not looking up the different types of ways that it can go down. So I'm not going to just say with that lack of knowledge that every way that abortion can be facilitated now is okay. And I'm not going to say that if you can't get if your state just banned abortion, that now people will have to resort to unsafe ways, even though there would be safe ways available if there was funding for such things or a designated place. And that becomes the issue, and why I would say, safe abortions exist, but will women have access to them? That's the issue.
Right. But I'm just saying, the fact of whether it's a constitutional right or not doesn't affect the fact that's a separate issue whether people have access to safe issues.
I don't. I think that if it was a constitutional right, it would be more funding available, more research to help make it safe. The more that it becomes a state issue, the less funding, the more unsafe it becomes.
Okay, so you're saying because of the federal funding, that's the reason why people won't have an opportunity to have safe abortions.
Yeah, I think the lack of federal funding, will hurt people and stop women from having safe abortions. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but can the federal government still fund things that are not constitutional rights?
But that's when you get to the spending clause, right? And if that's the thing, promote the general welfare. But I don't know if the federal government, when it becomes a state issue, can fund it anymore. But then it becomes they're left with only state funding.
Okay.
Right, and this is the quagmire, right? And then even this, where the funding comes from, right, is people other than the women in these situations making these decisions, which is the problem. Which is why there should be a codified right, if there isn't precedent, to protect women. I mean, this is a very private, very sensitive issue that affect women disproportionately. More so than
only women can get pregnant, so I mean,
right, but it takes two people to get a woman pregnant.
Right.
But like I was saying to you earlier, right? So if a man says, "Look, I want to have an abortion," or "I don't want to have an abortion," whatever his decision is, he can't.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
Yeah, he can't pull that off.
Right.
Right. So it is the woman's decision. Period.
Right.
Anything that, in my opinion, anything that hurts that or curtails that woman's right is wrong and incompassionate or uncompassionate, whatever the word is, the opposite of compassion. It ain't that.
Okay, hold on. We got a comment. Let me pull up a comment here. We got a comment from Risky Opinions. They said, today I heard historians are saying that they have never seen Democrats this mad since Republicans ended slavery. Okay. Anybody want to respond to that?
I could respond, but also address the question you were asked earlier.
Yeah.
Whether America is going the wrong way or not. I look at it mathematically. What has taken place is a minus move in lieu of multiplication or addition. And generally, in situations like this, when you're taking away rights, it's generally bad. It doesn't line up with human rights. It doesn't line up with constitutional rights. And in this particular situation, I will support the idea that it's a wrong move done with motives that are clear to some people, but also motives that are unclear to some because what's in the agenda. When you stand in front of the nation and explain to them and say, I will have pro-life conservative Supreme Court justices in the office so I can overturn this particular right, then you can certainly have the same overturn this other particular right and go down the road and affect whatever. So now the nation is rolling backward in lieu of being progressive, right? So my take here is this. It affects women like my colleague, Mr. Whitley indicated, but also it affects businesses because we are on a business podcast, imposing more restrictive or taking away for abortion clinics to operate. Businesses go down, employees lose their job. And you
hold on. Okay, you're not gonna just make this super strong man argument how abortion affects business owners. It don't affect business owners. I don't understand that connection.
You have women employees, absolutely it does.
But how does that affect the business? That doesn't affect the business.
It affects businesses.
If your state doesn't allow abortions and you have a female employee, she gets pregnant, she wants to get an abortion, but she has to travel 2 states away and miss X amount of days, that hurts your business, bro, because now you're an employee short. And if abortions were allowed in that state, she could have a faster return to work and be productive in the workplace again, as opposed to taking a risky chance, maybe not even coming back from an abortion procedure that she has to travel out of state for.
Not only that,
but you
abortion clinics are now.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Abortion clinics are now doomed to close down in the states that are going to stand with this ruling. Why stay there and operate where you are so restricted that you can't even drive revenue?
Okay.
That is how
so
that's
what? But so what? I mean, the fact that abortion clinics have to close down in certain states, that doesn't affect a business owner. I don't. So back to the audience, because I know we have an audience watching. The question on the table is, does this decision ruin America? Basically, does it destroy America? Okay. And so that's what we're talking about.
I want to talk to Risky Opinions. He said, well, whose fault is it that she had the unwanted pregnancy? Well, it's both parties. The guy, and because the way he posed this question, like it's her fault. That's part of that mindset.
But wait, hold on. Explain your point. You said it's both parties because if one person doesn't want it, but the other person does, then it's not both parties, right? So you got to assume that what he's saying is who fault it is somebody doesn't want a pregnancy. Whose fault is it, right? If you're assuming in this case of abortion, the woman doesn't want the pregnancy. So whose fault of it is it that she's pregnant?
Bro,
if you didn't want to get
I
pregnant,
didn't even answer that question without an assumption, so that's not even an answer. We just assuming a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay, so Risky Opinions, come back with some more facts because he don't understand your question. Okay, so we can get some more clarity on that.
I can answer that question.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, he said, whose fault is this to get an unwanted abortion? This is just one insulated fact that doesn't apply to all people who want abortion.
Okay, so
right?
you have
So
hold on, Attorney Bonza. Before you go down this line, you gotta have facts to back up what you're saying. Do you understand the percentages of people who actually get abortions because they want it versus people who are doing it because of rape, sex, incest, all that other stuff? The data shows that it's actually less than 4%. It's actually 4%.
Mr. Kemper, Attorney Kemper, you just broke out and I couldn't hear what you said. Can you start it over?
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I don't know my connection, what's going on with my connection. But basically, what I'm saying is that if you're going to make a statement, right, you got to have factual data to actually back that up, right? So you can't. I felt like you were going to go down the whole line of, well, what about the situations about medical procedures, rape, incest, blah, 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 blah. Well, you got to understand what the statistics for that. The statistics is that's only 4%. The other part of that, the majority is what he's talking about. It's just women who don't want to have a baby.
Hold on. Yes, let's circle back, Justin, because I can read. This question says, but whose fault is it that she had an unwanted pregnancy? Whose fault is it that she had an unwanted pregnancy? The implication in that statement is that this is all the woman's fault. And I strongly disagree.
Yep.
Because it's not about the unwanted pregnancy. It's not about an unwanted abortion. He said an unwanted pregnancy. And it takes two to tango to get there, bro.
So it's his. So it's the
guy's fault. There are cases where. Say it again.
So you saying it's the guy's fault if the woman doesn't want to be pregnant?
I mean, sir, I don't even. No. Why we don't have a case before? We don't have a case before this panel that is structured factually. You are asking questions that have to go in a particular scenario. Here we have to deal with whether the country is headed in a wrong direction with this direction the question asked, but we have to give him due diligence, responding to his question, saying whose fault is it that that woman got an unwanted pregnancy? That is an insulated situation. It represents only certain a percentage. However, it is her right. Let's stick with that fact. Unwanted pregnancy. It is her right. It is her body. She decides what to do with her future.
Okay, you said it's her right. You said, I need you to explain that.
Wait a minute.
All right. Explain that right.
It is her right to decide what to do with her body, whether she wants to be.
By who? The God or the Constitution? It's her right by who?
Say that again.
You said it's her right. I know I'm interrupting you, but I just want you to clarify that. Her right by who? Who gives her that right? God, the Constitution, or just human rights? Like who to say who is the origin of her right? Why is it her right?
Her rights are twofold. God, which has inspired the precept of the Constitution, but also the Constitution. She is entitled to what she sees fit, sir.
But
what she sees fit with her body. It's just like I cannot tell you, Mr.
But hold on.
Kemper.
I don't want to go down that route because we can talk about God, right? And I can go down that route. You know I can. But what I want to talk about is the Constitution. Why is it her right within the Constitution?
Because you cannot tell me what to do with my body.
Why is it her right in the Constitution? Why does the Constitution give her a right to abortion?
Sir, let me tell you something here.
I understand you said it's a human right. I get that.
They are natural rights in the Constitution. And just like you have the right to travel, the right to work, the right to X, Y, and Z, those are rights that are innate, connected to a person as a human being on the land of this United States of America. I can tell you today this, that right is no different than your right to wear a pierce on your ear.
But does the Constitution give you that right? That's what I'm getting at. But see, here's my point. Okay, just because this decision says that you don't have a constitutional right doesn't mean that you don't. That it doesn't say that abortions are right or wrong. That's a whole separate argument. We can argue whether abortions are right or wrong all day.
You know, there is an umbrella of rights.
But to say that it's a constitutional right is a different argument. And what the judges made the decision on was that you do not have a constitutional right to an abortion. So in my opinion, it does not destroy America. What it's saying is that
that's because they chose to look at it that way. Counsel, it depends on how you look at things. It depends on how you find yourself swayed or not. I'm frozen, I think. Am I?
No, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I think Mr. Kemper is frozen. What I'm trying to convey here is this. If you can tell me whether I can do what I want with my body or not, then tomorrow you can tell me whether who I'm going to sleep with or not. It's just one thing after another. The move is wrong, and is wrong. You know, it makes it difficult for our sisters, our mothers, and everybody else that we have on this earth. Why? Because someone chose to overturn one historic.
Okay, but here's my thing. I think I lost connection, so I probably missed like 90% of what you said. Okay. But I'll just talk about the last part you said. You said it's historic. Okay, slavery is historic. It was also historic. It's a lot of bad historic laws. I hate that argument because just because something's historic don't mean that we should keep it. Okay? So, and I think that you would agree with that, right? Because there were a lot of bad laws that were historic, right? And the conservatives back in that day used the historic argument. Well, we've always done it this way, separate but equal, right? Just because something's historic doesn't mean that it's a good law.
Okay, this is what I stand to say. The victim in this thing are our sisters, wives, women in general. Why? Because of some political gain, political moves that these things get swayed here and now. And then that is unfortunately them that get caught. Not only them, but we are also families, and we get caught in this too. Men and women are involved in this, and the men and women are affected by this thing here. Why? Because of some political gain. And it shouldn't be that way. Every time this country shouldn't be like every time there is a change in office, and then that change is so happened at the time we need a Supreme Court justice, we look for one that is going to sway the country in a certain way. Certain rights just should be right. Take off the umbrella of I'm conservative. Take off the umbrella that I am a Democrat, Republican. Just be human. Just be human.
Okay, Mayabo, that's a losing argument, right? Because the whole purpose of why this is not a legal argument. The whole purpose why people are against abortion because they say that you're destroying a human. So that's a losing argument. You got to come up with something else. That's not going to work.
Destroying a human. You know how many?
But it's scientifically you can prove that a baby actually has feel. A baby can feel at a certain age, in a certain age in the time.
Yes.
And you are a parent. You know this.
Yeah, I know.
Hold on. We got a question. Attorney Bonds, do you think a baby in a womb has the constitutional right to live?
Well, here's the thing. There is the answer is this. I suppose that I am a woman. I have to decide with my body and what I have to do with my body. And then to you, Mr. Owens, I can say this. That baby who suppose let's say the baby has a right. The baby has a right to live. But that baby's life put my life in danger as a mom if I continue that pregnancy. So I have to decide now whether I should take care of that baby and continue to live and protect my family, or just risk it all, continue with it and die, or bring a baby in who has rights, bring the baby in, all right, or out, and that baby expose me and the family to medical needs and a whole bunch of stuff. I can tell you this, whether the baby has right or not, it all boils down to the mother who has to decide whether to keep it or not. In particular cases, like where the life of the mother is in danger. And look at it. And again, I will go back to business, Mr. Kemper. I get this situation where the doctor tells me that this is going to be a problem child based on the development that we see in the body inside of the womb right now. And then the best thing will be to get rid of it for medical needs. Now, once the baby gets out, there's a lot of funding that will have to be put in it. State is going to take money, put money away and pay for the child needs. Mom is going to be off work, affecting business, affecting the entire family.
Okay, so
let me go back to the question, sir.
Okay.
Whether the baby has a right or not, it depends ultimately on the mom that is carrying that baby to continue or not, because that's her body.
So your answer is it depends. It
depends on how you look at it, and depends on the viability. There is a viability time. Within a certain time of viability, it's okay in most states, right? And then after a certain time, it becomes a problem. Okay, the baby may have acquired. The baby acquires the right after reaching a time of viability. The baby has rights. However, their rights do not trump the rights of the mother who's carrying it, because the health of the mom is the most important at that time. The survival of the mom is the most important at that time, rather than the survival of this baby that we don't know. Yet if they're gonna make it, or they're gonna cost more on the states or the mom and the family and businesses. Like I said, ultimately, it's the mom to decide whether to keep or not. And whatever they're doing over there, saying that they're killing the baby and stuff like that, all this is a bunch of hypocrites in trying to put a person as a victim, and that is the woman. Unfortunately, the country has taken that path, and it is really, really, really disappointing.
All right, well, Attorney Willie has walked out because he's so he's so offended by your statements. But
that's not true. I'm not offended at all.
Attorney Willie has walked out. He can't take it anymore. No, but we're gonna read some.
I walk out of stuff a lot.
All right, so we're gonna read some comments. Yolanda Adams, thanks for commenting. She said, so many different scenarios have to be considered. I agree, but I think the problem is that people use the worst case scenario, as if that's the standard. But you got to look at statistics, right? So you got to base it off of what actually happens, right? And the truth is that most people have abortions because they want to. It's not because they're poor. It's not because they're raped or they're incest or because some medical procedure. Most people have it because they don't want to have a baby at the time for whatever reason, but it's not because of that. My uncle said they said that Risky Opinion says that Mbanza is avoiding the question: does the baby have a constitutional right to in the womb? And I think we're going to read the next comment because I think Hans said something to it as well. Hans said, "Oh, I got it. So if the baby wants if the woman wants the baby, the child has the right to live. If she does not, the child does not have the right to live." Got it. It appears that you're wading into eugenics. I see. I think that's exactly what he said. I'm gonna give you time to clarify that. Samuel Boyne said, the government wants abortions and transgender for population control. Now Americans are divulging, and we are going to be left with a country full of confused entitlement, lack of accountability. Interesting. Okay, I want you to talk about that more. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Can you explain that a little bit more, Sam? And then we got Risky Opinion said, okay, how would the mother make a decision if the baby wants to live or not? Okay, so Mayombo, a lot of these questions were converted to you, so I'm going to give you a chance to kind of clarify your statement.
All right, let's say this. There's a period of viability, generally 4 weeks, right? And some states they allow abortion that way, and then it becomes a little more after 4 weeks that the baby acquires the right. And I'll give you an example where you can find yourself in a situation where, and I've given this example before on this podcast, and I do believe that. Let's take the abortion scenario out. Let's focus on realistic or simple facts. You have right, I have right, right? But your rights do not have to infringe mine. The
Correct.
exercise of your right don't have to infringe mine. All right. So same thing here. The kid, the baby, after 4 weeks, they have rights, right? But those rights, the exercise of those rights, do not have to infringe my rights to live, my right to protect my own right. That shouldn't work that way. I can't let you come in my house and dictate what I have to do in my house, and let alone in my body. No, this whole thing is a bunch of hypocritical moves made for some political gains. Now, women and families are caught in between as victims. I can understand everything else you can say, okay, it was not enumerated. If they switch it around and liberal wanted to write an opinion to say that it was definitely intended to be as a right in there, they will find a way to put it there. And just because it's them today, the conservative, they choose to say it that way. It depends on how they look at it. We had a conversation before. Judges, they come into the case sometimes with the way they're going to rule. Sometimes it changes throughout the course of how the attorney present the case, but they already know, oh, okay, this is going to be this way because how they've seen things and how they feel. The same way here. This case, Roe v. Wade, has been threatened for so many years. Somebody just want to put a head on it and say, oh, salute, I won. We won. We got them. You know why? Yeah.
Okay, so let me stop you. So my thing is this. Okay, so if someone, as you stated, views the Constitution in a conservative way, and they are against Roe v. versus Wade, they are against abortion because of whatever reason, whether it's religious or they just believe that women shouldn't kill fetuses or babies, or however you see it. If someone uses the political system, they vote for a president that has the same views that they have. That president imposes judges that has the same views that he has, are they hypocritical for using the system that is created?
Yeah, it is, regardless, because it boils down to this. The political format that we have, or lines of thoughts that we have, conservative, liberal, or Republican, Democrats, they're just there for the institution, right? And what it boils down is that we are human. We all feel pain and we know what's wrong and what's right. Okay. For this person, that person, and society in general, you know it. And those who advance those things, okay, it happens to them, they will think a different way.
But okay, I'm not following the hypocritical. Where's that hypocrisy? They use the system. Just like people who have your opinion about abortion, they could use the system, correct?
The hypocrisy is this. Don't turn a blind eye on a woman needs and right and struggle, okay, in the name of the conservative mindset. That's where I see the hypocrisy. And
how's that? I don't understand. I still not following
you. You and I are not meeting here because of my thought is this, right? This has been threatened for a so long time. And the political agenda to defeat one side of the aisle is, let me overturn this and secure this win so I can brag about it. It's like Ted Cruz.
So you saying they did it only to brag about it? You said the only reason that they went through all of this for 50 years is so that they can have bragging rights?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Political gain, political check mark, political this and that. Because
so you saying they don't care about anything else? They don't care about the fact that they believe this is a life.
Why does he?
You saying they don't care about that?
You're talking about life protecting. You know how many people have died in this country here needing help? Adult people who are alive needing help. And then the country. Wait a second. Sir, let's talk about. You say they're protecting lives. You're talking about taking them. During Obama administration, veterans were dying, waiting on the list to be treated. They get put on a list that will keep them suffering for so long and then die. These are people that went and got PTSD in the Middle East and came here trying to fight for the country. But they come back here. You deny them help on their own land after fighting for this country. And then you trying to say that they were caring for lives. There are so many lives to care about, rather than some lives that are still in somebody's womb and somebody's life can be taken a risk for that. Come on, man. Don't you tell me that they worry about people's lives so well that they want to take away somebody's life. If you care about somebody's life,
okay, we got it. We got your opinion. According to Attorney Bonza, essentially your life doesn't matter in the womb. Okay. All right. So we're gonna leave with the question back to the people. So my thing is that you guys are hearing these arguments. You're hearing it. How do you think that America should respond moving forward?
Jacoby or me?
Anybody. We're gonna put it to the audience. We'll put it to you guys, the panel. How do you think America should respond moving forward?
Well, it's simple. It's simple. The bottom line. The bottom line is what's great for the country as a society, right? What looks like we are not infringing upon somebody else's rights? What looks like we're not putting women century backward? What looks like we are upholding them and helping them move forward? Women have been actually historically being underserved, whether they're white or black or minority in general. this had given them the right to decide upon their body. You're gonna turn around and say, okay, we're gonna come out with another law.
Answer with all respect. Answer the question, my elbow. Answer
yes,
the question.
sir.
Because I can go, I can combat all those arguments. But
I like to lay a foundation, sir.
No, you laid your foundation. Your foundation is laid, man. Make your point.
Well, it's up to you to decide whether my foundation is lame or not, and then that's your own opinion. But in my view, and the view that most women will support.
So I'm saying, answer the question. Answer the question, though. How can we move forward? Well, how should America proceed from this?
Fight to protect rights that are already given, and fight to take away, not to take away rights that are given.
Okay, how do they fight? What is your suggestion on that?
You come together. And I can encourage folks to say, okay, let's there's a plethora of things that can be done. One will be going to vote and vote for the right person.
Okay.
Ironically, we've seen people who vote for the right person, but they get in the office, then the agenda starts to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Second, it's just a matter of trying to protect yourself. Will be a
protect
woman,
yourself. Okay. Yeah, can you explain?
Like, I will narrow this down to this conversation. If I were a woman, I would be more observant or vigilant as to whether I want to walk in the path that will push me and get me pregnant, and then me having to struggle to get rid of it. We will have to do that. But in general,
hold on. I'm not understanding. You said protect yourself. I'm not really getting that. Can you explain?
Protecting myself in the sense that and again, you try me to describe certain things that may not necessarily. For example, you have to. Abstinence is one of the things, and
oh wow, okay,
you got to do, protective actions or intercourse, and protected intercourse, of course, and that's that, and you got to be very careful. We have to educate our children and say, okay, and at this time here, this is what's going to happen. Give that education to them, because for example, teenagers get in a situation like that because of lack of knowledge, that they were not informed enough, but and again, that is not enough to protect families. It's not enough to protect. I want my niece to go to college and blah blah blah. She gets that. I want to be able to get rid of it, because she's a kid. She doesn't understand. I have to be able to get rid of that and put her on the right track so she can go to college and finish. I'm not going to have her take it and keep her away for 9 months and 2 months and 2 years taking care of the baby, and then she's pulled back, and then she lose hope for the future and for education and stuff like that. Guess what? She stays there, and then she becomes an expense for the state. And if she stays there, she becomes lost, somewhere one way or the other. So,
okay. I want to put it back to the audience again. The question on the table is, what should America do moving forward? Mayumbo, just to recap, what you said was they should fight it by making sure that they vote for the correct people in office, that they should use abstinence, and that families need to start sticking together and working together to help take care of babies. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Attorney Willie, what can America do moving forward besides hiring?
Okay. What can okay, I thought it was, what do I think America will do, but what can America do? So, well, I won't say what will America do, right? I'm going to make some predictions. So, the states where basically Republican states are going to ban abortions, that's already happened.
Mm-hmm. Or restricted, right? Not everybody's banning it outright.
Everybody's a straight ban, but sure, right. Restrict it, curtail it, right. Encumber abortions in their state. So I see that. I see Democratic states becoming or passing legislation at the state level, making themselves safe havens to attract citizens, make it safer, maybe reduce some residency requirements, stuff like that, to make it easier for people to go to their states to receive abortions. Employers are going to start addressing this. So employers are going to start including that in their healthcare packages or won't include it. And based on that, people will start to move jobs, and we will see migrations through employment that way. We will have talks whether it will be factual or whether it will produce federal legislation or not. There will be discussions about federal legislation moving forward. And these will all be politicized in the this year, 2023 and 2024 elections. And we will start to see, like Maumbo was saying, based on those votes, how Americans really feel. So that I saw a statistic that 70% of Americans, I believe, support abortion. So if these stances that people are taking, could have effects and ramifications at these elections. But in the short term, I think we're going to see a lot of migration, people moving in and out of states, people migration at the employment level, people switching jobs, which is going to create shortages on top of shortages, right? Which is going to impact different supply chains. It's going to be interesting. Then also what we have to look out for are any other cases going to be repealed. Now I'm seeing this dialogue. I'm not saying how the strength of that dialogue of Plessy versus Ferguson, right? Because the substantive due process clause comes from the 14th Amendment. So any right, because Black people weren't considered at the founding fathers, time of the founding fathers, to be considered people. So that was a result of changing social norms, right? And I know we have the 13th Amendment and so on and so forth, but different civil rights protections that were, because a lot of civil rights protections had to be tucked up under the 14th Amendment to make them apply to the states, because the 5th Amendment only applies to the federal government. And so now that substantive due process is under attack, quote unquote, usually a colorful, artful term. I'm not saying it's right for the most part, but yeah, I think it's under attack. You know what I mean? So because of that, there will be a lot of looking at these particular laws. Mm-hmm. And that's why I have to agree with Maumbo. I do agree that a lot of this is political, because it's on the record that several Republicans that support anti-abortion bills have paid for abortions for escorts. Some of those escorts now being members of the House. So, yeah.
That still doesn't negate the point, though. But yeah, I get what you're saying, though. I mean, it's that, I would say that's hypocritical for sure, but it still doesn't negate the fact that whether or not abortion is a constitutional right, or whether abortion is killing the baby at the end of the day. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but that doesn't negate the merits of the argument, though, that people are making.
Well, listen, they're supposed to feed you the argument in the way they want to feed it to you. Like I said earlier, if the opposing party wanted to feed you the argument in the sense that you wanted to hear it, they will do the same. The more you get to listen to something that makes no sense, and then at some point it will start to make sense in your ears, because you get to listen to it often and more and more. And like I said, this is the wrong move. It's going to be destroying. And tomorrow they're going to turn around and say, oh, let me take a look. Maybe we should, because of these consequences here, let's see if we can overturn Law Being Virginia. Then they're going to be like, oh, then Maumbo can't date Stephanie over there. You know what I mean? Why? For a bunch of other reasons. They have a way to present it. And then if they present it at that time, Thomas Jefferson had said this.
Okay, all right. Hold on. You about to go on the
It's
right. Hold on.
That's right. It's critical. Let me say this, please. Laws and institutions shall go hand in hand with the progress of the human mind.
Okay, but some people don't agree that that's progress, though, Lambo. That's in dispute.
My God! So you tell me this: a woman centuries ago could not abort, decide on his own rights. They give him the rights to do so. Now they take it away. You think that is not regression?
Yes, because some people. Yes, because you're assuming that abortion is a good thing. Not everybody believes abortion is a good thing.
Let me tell you something.
Okay, hold on.
Jacoby said
hold on. Wait.
So Jacoby, for the sake of the audience, let's say for the sake of the audience, Jacoby said that those who have advocated for this thing have paid for abortion on escort.
Okay.
You see?
Okay. My point is that doesn't
hypocrites. Hypocrites. Period. Over out.
But you can't say everybody that. You can't say everybody that's pro-life does that, right? So that's who knows? That's only a select few people. If those people are doing that, I agree. Those are hypocrites. But that still doesn't affect the merit of the argument. It still doesn't mean that abortions are great, and it still doesn't mean that abortion is a constitutional right. At the end of the day, let me read some comments. Okay, so Nelly Shaw said that it's definitely political. Okay, so he agrees that it's political. Risky Opinion said Attorney Whitley got some good points. But abortion is not a constitutional right. Nelly Shaw says, "Oh, he's about to go in. He's talking about you, my elbow." So yeah, I definitely think you guys brought some good points. So the question of the day at the table, and I want you guys to answer too. Those are in the audience. What should America do moving forward? So here's my thing. Here's my advice, and then you guys can chime in after me. I think everybody needs to take a deep breath. Okay, I don't think that America is just all of a sudden overnight has become the worst place in the world to live in. Okay. I think they need to just calm down. It's not that bad. Okay. Whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, it's not that bad. Okay. So I think that everybody, first of all, needs to take a deep breath. Nelly Shaw got my idea. He said, "Woo Shaw, thank you for taking my advice." I think that first off, that when it comes down to abortion, it's a very divisive issue, as you can see, right? It's one of our most heated debates here on the podcast. Understand that people are going to disagree with you, number one, right? And so I think that we need to have more civil discourse, more discussions, right? And I think that we need to, moving forward, vote for politicians who we agree with, right? Who has our political ideas and ideologies. If that is true, that everybody's so much against abortion, then you need to vote for politicians who stand for that. So I definitely agree with that, right? And I think that people need to pay more attention to politics. And I think that's another good thing that's going to happen, is that more people are paying closer attention to politics because of situations like this, right? And so I think that using the political system more is not a bad thing. I think that's not a bad idea, right? So I think that's another point that I wanted to make. I think also America moving forward, I think that everything Attorney Bonds has said, right, and more, right, is that okay? Now that we have this situation where there's likelihood that more babies are going to be coming into the world, how are we going to support those babies, right? How are we going to change the adoption system? You're on mute, Attorney Whitley.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to cut you off, but you reminded me of a note I didn't get to.
Okay. Yeah, how are we going to change the adoption system? I think both sides, right? Both sides should be working together. Okay, if we care about women in this situation, how can we support these women who have to go through pregnancies that they don't really necessarily want to go through, right? And there are some people who believe they said that they're going to start some ways to help women travel to get abortions, right? Hey, that's your right within the Constitution. Whether I agree with that or not, that my opinion doesn't matter. But that is technically their right. It's not illegal, right? And so I think also, if the true problem is women and babies, right? Because that's the debate, right? Women versus babies, right? I think that if whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, you should be supporting. This doesn't stop. This doesn't stop. If you're really passionate about that, this doesn't stop your obligation to still help those people. If you are truly pro-woman, there are still tons of social services, still tons of women who need help, right? And who need welfare or whatever to get through, right? Because they have kids. If you are for pro babies, you need to really focus on how can we help babies who are going through adoption, or how to help these women with these babies. So I think even though we may disagree on as to whether it should be all right or not, I think that there's a lot that we can actually work together on to actually help America at the end of the day. Go ahead, Attorney Whitley. Attorney Whitley.
Oh yeah, you brought up a good point, and this kind of supports, I guess, Attorney Bonds' hypocritical argument is that we know that the Republican Party pushed for this, right? We do know that. However, the Republican Party does not support universal health care. They do not support universal child care.
Mm-hmm.
They do not support paid medical leave, and also issues that address the maternal mortality rates in the nation, which disproportionately affect Black women. So I think that's what my umbo was getting to, is that this party doesn't support even general health care, but it's so far out ahead on this medical issue that it just doesn't really match.
Well, I think that if I can respond to that, I think we gotta be. I don't want to speak for the Republican Party. I don't agree with everything the Republican Party do, but just in response to that, I think that the issues are a little bit more convoluted than that. A lot of people aren't necessarily against healthcare, but they're against maybe government-sponsored healthcare. Maybe they believe that the government healthcare should be privatized. Right now, we can argue and debate over that, but I don't think. But my point is that there are reasons why, not all Republicans, but there are certain Republicans that are against those things, not because they don't care about people, right? But because they, based off of what they think is best for the country and the debt situation and dollars and whatever, they feel like things should be different. So I think that's, I don't want to just pose it as all Republicans are demons and all of them don't care about healthcare, right? They only care about abortion. I don't think that's the case, right? I think that a lot of them do care about that. They just think they go about it a different way and a different strategy, and I think we got to be careful not to just go into the whole political talking points like the rest of media does. Republicans don't care about this, and that. They don't, but I think that they do.
I didn't say that they didn't care. I didn't say that they didn't care.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, look at their voting records. Their votes didn't
support
that.
But I'm just saying, they're, without going into specifics, right? There could be, I'm sure there are legitimate reasons why. It's not just because they don't care about healthcare.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that they voted that way because they didn't. I didn't offer any reason on why they supported or voted anyway, right? So I didn't say that.
Right. But I'm just saying,
I didn't generalize them anything. I'm being very specific. Right. And the reason I'm highlighting these points is because these are tenets of the Republican platform. Now, you can look it up.
Right.
I'm not overgeneralizing or anything like that. Right. But you would think it makes logical sense.
You're right. If you're going to force someone to have a baby, that you should
that we need to have the best healthcare system in the world.
Right. And I think that because of this decision, now we can talk about that, right? That gives us a platform. That gives us a platform to talk about that. You
Absolutely.
Know what I'm saying?
But I just would like to say that I don't know how clearly it came through, but I think because the only reason why I'm focusing on the Republican Party, right? Because we did have a Republican president, that said, "I'm going to elect Republican judges." My umbo hit on this, right? To particularly express this Republican platform agenda.
Right.
And so I didn't do that. I'm not.
Right.
That's not open. That's facts.
No, I hear you. No, I you know. And then also, but I'm saying the Democrats, they're about women's choice, things like that. I'm saying support women in other ways too, right? Like this is not the only issue that's affecting women.
Absolutely.
You know
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And a lot of Democrats play the whole, like you said, hypocritical role, where it's like, okay, I'm just going to focus on this, but women, you know, women need a lot of issues that what Democrats are maybe necessarily disagree with, right? And so I think that moving forward, we got to focus on. I think that if I was, you know, a politician, I would say, okay, what can we work on moving forward, right? If you believe that abortion should be codified, then okay, go about that, right? And we could debate that at that time, right? But if you believe, but we can also agree to some things, right? We can agree that, hey, if we're going to have more, if we want women to have more babies, then we got to also support healthcare. We got to support good healthcare. I think that's something that we should all agree to. We got a comment. I'm going to read it. Nellie Shaw said, most Republicans believe you need to work hard for what you want. Most Republicans believe the government should take care of you, in my opinion. I think that's in general that does sound accurate. But you know, like I said, it's a lot of hypocriticism in the. I'm sorry, it's a lot of hypocrites in the Republican Party as well, right? They say one thing, but they do it for certain people, right? You know, so I think that, you know, that's not true across the board, but I think that in general, that's the concept of a lot of Republicans. Yeah, we are.
Let me add something there to your question as to what the American people should do.
Yeah.
All the American people, in particular American women and the women around the world, should stand together to vindicate their rights being trampled upon by this ruling here. If it takes coming out, getting together, organizing, marching, standing in front of the Supreme Court, voicing your opinion day in and day out, yes, do that. My colleague here just indicated that.
That's not going to change anything, though. That's theater. They're not politicians. They are Supreme Court justices, right? That make decisions off the law. They can't change the law because you're protesting outside their door. It doesn't change anything.
It's theater. However, it has an impact on the organization of this society, because you get slapped and sit there, and it goes then. You get slapped and react, then it makes the person think, okay, now these things are now working. Now we all are impacted and we go into businesses. Oh, now women are more affected and they're not coming to work based on this. Now,
right. But that still puts it back on the legislator, which is what the Supreme Court decision said in the beginning.
Then you ask what they should do, right? And then if they act like that, then the legislature stand up and then say, "Oh, let's do something about this," because now, so even businesses are now leaving our states, you know, because we stand with this, you know, it affects the business in a sense. So if the manifestation, the you call theater, it takes place in the most robust way. Just like Black Lives Matters have done, and then influence impact on certain cases, that will happen, because this is an insult on all the women here, and they should stand up one way or the other.
It's definitely not an insult to women.
But I got a question for you, Justin. I got a question. Sure. So is it your belief that the Supreme Court is not politicized?
No, well, I think that it is, but I think that technically, right, they're not supposed to. They can't make decisions based off of politics, right?
Now, they're not supposed to, but that's the thing. That's the thing about this decision, though. And I think that's the thing that is the unthinking. That's the thing. It just occurred to me that I think that's the problem that people are having with this decision, that they're unable to articulate. Is that this is clear evidence that the Supreme Court has been politicized.
But it's always been politicized, and you know that, right?
But not to this level. We've never.
It has. If you put, if there's a liberal president, he puts liberal justices on. That's what we've been doing since the beginning of time.
Right. However, this is different. This is a different. We all.
How is it different? How is it different?
Give me 1 second, my brother.
Okay.
This is a different fact pattern because we've never had. First, can we agree that we've never had a president as blatant as Donald Trump?
Yes.
Okay. And he blatantly, right, said, I'm going to pick these justices and I want them to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Right.
In all of these, the last three, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Comey Barrett.
Right.
Not the last four, but the prior three. Anyway, it was brought up about Roe v. Wade in their confirmation hearings. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Oh my goodness. You can hear me now?
Okay. While he's gone, and hoping that, are you there? Oh, I'm the only one left? Poor me. No child left behind, y'all. You leave me behind. Hello. Well, hopefully the audience is listening. What I have to say, when you were talking about abortion not being a constitutional right, but let's remember that it doesn't have to be specifically stated that way, but the Constitution also say no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process, right? So now we're talking about you and your right to liberty to. Okay, I was entertaining the audience when you
yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate that, my brother. We appreciate that.
I'm not sure if they were listening or not.
Respect. But yeah, that's all I was saying, right? Even though the political move might have been done in the background, this is the first time it was in the front out and said, I'm going to do this to overturn a specific case.
Gotcha.
Then confirmation hearings were held around this issue.
Right.
This specific issue. You see what I'm saying? Then we have Susan Collins, who's historic. I trust them, right? And then we have a thing saying that a report came out that the Republican Party said that was the best way to play her. And it just let her just be naive because she's a naive person. And that's my opinion. That's what I heard in the thing. I'm not saying that's truth. Don't hit me with no defamation. But that's what I'm saying. So it's just the blatant political nature of this, right? It's just so upfront and so blatant that I think that's why a lot of people have issues with it too, because it confirms without a doubt that the Supreme Court is compromised, at least politically.
Right. I mean, I get it, but it's like we've been doing this since the beginning of time, right? If you have a liberal president, he's going to appoint liberal judges, whether he's upfront about it or not. It's the truth.
But revelation doesn't mean things explode, bro. It means things are seen. And that's what I'm saying. This is the first time
where it's actually seen, like it's like more clear.
Yes,
but
and that's pivotal because the civil rights movement hinged on that, right? TV, right? Every time there's an advancement in technology, we get more civil rights, or the civil rights fight advances. It was TV in the 60s because you could see the dogs and the water hoses, and you could see it in your home, and that made people more sympathetic. Now we got cell phones. Right. And Ben Crump is now able to get $13 million verdicts instead of record verdict each time because we have these cell phones. Right. And the same thing. And those people got sympathized and energy got moved because it was seen for the first time. I think that's what we're experiencing right now.
Gotcha. No, so yeah, I think you brought a lot of good points. We over time, we relate today. Sorry. My apologies. Sorry. No, you're good. You're great. You're great. Sorry. I want to end on something positive. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that, like I said, I think that we got to figure out ways to work. Where can we work together? You know, I don't think anybody's minds were changed here, but hey, hey, these are still my guys, right? These are still my homies, right? At least I don't know. Maybe not after this call. Maybe we might have they might show up in my house, but you know, but I think that we got to get to a point where it's okay to disagree, right?
Absolutely.
It's okay. This is the whole purpose of having a political system. If you think you pro-life, you push your pro-life agenda through the political system. You pro-choice, you push that through the political system. That's the whole purpose of it, right? And so I think that we gotta work. So I think that if you are still gun ho, this is your number one issue in life, then go ahead and push that, right? And push that through the political system, right? But for other people who care about the actual issue at hand, which is women and babies, there are a lot of other ways to help women and babies outside of this situation. I think you guys would agree with that. Would you guys agree?
To end on a positive note, I think, like you said, people should, like we agreed to earlier, people should be paying more attention to healthcare.
Right.
Right, because no matter what side of the fence of the argument that you're on, the need for healthcare is imperative.
Right. I agree. Now, how do we get there is the question, right? You know what I'm saying? But I definitely agree with that. And so I think that I just want to advise people who listen to this podcast, like, lead by example. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to fight people who disagree with you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to you know what I'm saying, be violent. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other ways to help women. If you really care about women, you really care about babies, there's a ton of other ways outside of this issue to help people, right? And I think we got to learn how to work together on issues that we do agree on. Nellie Shaw said that great dialogue, fellows. We can all agree to disagree and still be good to one another. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end the podcast. Thank you guys for listening.
Ask me my
No.
Let me the people.
All right. 1 minute. One minute. Go ahead. Let
me tell you this. The bottom line is whether they made you believe today that the abortion is not a constitutional right, they're wrong, because the same constitution also, wait a minute, sir, also speaks to the right of families' autonomy and raise children, okay? And that same constitution indicate no person shall be deprived of the rights, which is also the woman's right to decide what they want to do. And the Constitution protects the sanctity of the family precisely because the institution of the family is deeply rooted in the nation's history and tradition. That is what this Constitution say. They choose to show you something else because they want you to believe that way. And then they keep this away because if we sit on this right here, there will be a constitutional right of abortion, whether it's not stated specifically or not. But this nation and most rights we have are deeply rooted in the nation and also human rights. And that's my thoughts here. All the women, I'm with you. You know, this country is headed in the wrong direction. Stand up, manifest, voice your opinion, and make them think twice by keeping this thing here, and it should be overturned again by the same sitting Supreme Court. And do the unthinkable. They rule something, make them look stupid. Act, voice your opinion so they can reveal, oh no, we made a mistake. We overrule it. The same Constitution. You can do it, women. You can do it. And I believe you. They can't take nobody's right now. On that note, fellas, again, this is Attorney Bonza. And always make me feel like I'm taking over, but no, I'm not. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm very passionate about this thing, because I know indeed that there's a lot of consequences about women left out there with no rights and nothingness, but condemned to suffer their own. And they sitting over there, sitting in a high rise and do whatever that the average woman over here is struggling here and say, "Can I tell you someone? Here's Do you know that some employees?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Attorney Your minute has expired. Your time has expired. But thank you guys so much.
You gotta love it, man.
And I appreciate you guys for having this discussion. We are on different. We don't agree on this issue, but I definitely appreciate you guys for coming on. We didn't get to talk about anything business related. This is mostly the hot topic, but we're going to come back with another episode, and we're going to try maybe have some business topics to talk about to help business owners out. But I want to thank you guys so much again. We got attorney Mayumbo Banza on the line. If you got handle any issue out of the state of Illinois, he can definitely help you out. We got attorney Whitley on the line in the DC area. He can help you out. And I'm attorney Camper in the Indiana area. So thank you guys so much for staying tuned. And I hope that you guys learned something and that we can all agree or disagree and we can move forward and work on issues that we do agree on. All right. So it's like my elbow about to say one thing, so I'm going to go ahead and end right now.
Abortion rights.
Oh God, no! Let me mute your mic. All right, thanks.
All right, fellas.